The EFL Championship. Some say the most hectic league in the world, some say the greatest league in the world, but one thing we can all agree is a league full of talent. In this video, I'll be choosing a player from every team in the Championship who I think deserves to play in the Premier League. The rules are quite simple. They can't be a lone player and they can't have made an appearance already in a Premier League team. So let's begin this video starting from the bottom three and working our way up to the top two. And there's no better place to start than bottom of the league, Rotherham United. Starting with the Millers then, and I think this has to be one of the easiest choices of the video, one man, Victor Johansson. Now, Victor had a sensational season last year. Him and Chiedozie Ogbene single-handedly helped Rotherham to survival, and he's carried on his form to this season. 101 saves, the most from any Championship goalkeeper, and we forget that he's only 25 years of age. He's absolutely incredible, and for me, he's a perfect talent to watch for newly promoted teams in the summer. Next up, Sheffield Wednesday, and although it's been a season to forget to Wednesday fans, I think they can all agree there's been a few rising talents burst onto the Championship scene, one of them being 24-year-old Dutch right-winger Anthony Musaba. Anthony moved to Wednesday from Monaco earlier on this season, and despite a struggling start, he's starting to hit form and shine in confidence. 4 goals and 2 assists in 20 games for a team struggling in the bottom three. I think that is very, very decent. Anthony would bring vital pace, energy, and bring in a lot of potential. For me, it's definitely an Everton, a Luton Town, or a Brighton Hove Albion signing. Moving on then to Queen's Park Rangers, and for me it was between 2 stars, Chris Willock and the player I've gone for, the international Moroccan star, Ilias Chair. Now, it genuinely still bemusels me how Ilias Chair is playing for a bottom half team in the Championship, how comfortable he is on the ball, his skills, and the fact he can bang one in from 30 yards. He's just so good on the ball. Ilias primarily plays on the left-hand side as a winger, but can filter in that number 10 position if asked to do so. The thing is, he gets the ball so much, and it's so good to see he averages a match rating of 7.3. For me, either a Crystal Palace or an Aston Villa signing. Moving out of the relegation zone now and into Yorkshire, where we take a look at Huddersfield's star man, Jack Radoni. Now, for Jack and a couple of more players on this list, I do believe they need a couple of more seasons in the Championship before they're ready for a Premier League move. But I do think in the future, Jack Radoni will be playing in a Premier League side. Now, in terms of stats, Jack Radoni isn't a goal machine. A lot of people judge players in the Championship by goals and assists, but on that ball, Jack is something spectacular to watch. He always looks for the forward pass, and his longevity is something teams would like to see. He's only been subbed off twice in a year and a half. That is something spectacular. Honestly, I think in a couple of seasons, if he progresses, I can see him playing for a team like West Ham, a Crystal Palace, or maybe a team like Brighton Hove Albion. I use them 3 teams a lot because they're the team to pick players up from the Championship and make them into wonder kids. Millwall next, and I'll be completely honest, this was so difficult to pick, but I've had to go for Zian Fleming. Although this season has certainly not been pretty for Zian, there's so much time left of this season where I think he can get back on track from last season's form, and trust me, them numbers last season were blooming crazy. Zian is an all-round player. Defensively, he's there. 99 completed duels, 450 completed passes, and if we look at last season's stats, 15 times he hit the back of the net. If he can just jump back on last season's form, I think there's still a solid Premier League footballer there. My personal opinion, I don't think a Premier League move would suit Zian. I think maybe a move to an Italian side, a Bundesliga side, or a Eredivisie side like Ajax or Feyenoord, or maybe PSV. I think he would hit crazy numbers. But if he were to join a Premier League side, I think a team like Wolves could definitely put a punt in for him. Maybe a Brentford, someone who needs a big powerhouse in their team, and I think he's that man for the job. Birmingham City next, and I've had an absolute going on trying to pick a player here. Juninho Bakuna I was going to go for, then realised he'd played for Huddersfield already in the Prem. Then Jay Stansfield's made 1 appearance for Fulham in the Prem. So I've gone for Romel Donovan, who's played 50 minutes of professional football. But the future is so big. You look at his stats already, in them couple of games he's played, he looks like the next Championship prodigy. Now, in just 23 minutes against Stoke City, 17-year-old Romel Donovan controlled the game. 90% pass accuracy, 100% dribble accuracy, and 5 out of 6 ground duels won. That is just incredible. Birmingham fans are calling him to start week in, week out, and I can see him playing for a big top 6 team, possibly in their academy at first and working their way up to being a starter. Next up then, and when Hull City took on Stoke City, there was one Portuguese winger on that pitch where I thought, wow, he should be playing for a very high team. And that is Andre Vidigal. What a magnificent talent he is. Already a fan favourite, Andre can excel in any attacking positions, mainly playing on the left, but can play anywhere from left, right, up front to even central attacking midfielder. On the ball, he's magnificent, skills all around, cheeky finishes, spectacular finishes, and is Stoke City's top goal scorer so far this season. Top 15% for shots, top 8 goal scorers in the bottom half of the Championship. And although he's had dips in forms and injuries, I do think he's on the road to getting back into full fitness and back onto magnificent form. For me, I'm going to go for either a Nottingham Forest signing or again a Wolves signing. Across to Wales now and to Swansea City. And there's 3 players I have in mind. Matt Grimes, Harry Darling and Josh Key. Now the truth is there was another 3 players who I think will all play in the Premier League, but unfortunately they're all on loan. That was Carl Rushworth in goal, Bashir Humphreys at centre-back and Charlie Patino in the midfield. But for the player I've picked is the right wing-back, Josh Key. Josh signed for Swansea City in the summer following a fantastic few years stint at Exeter City, and it's safe to say the 21-year-old has hit the ground running. Despite an injury in 19 games, he creates one big chance every single match, 101 duels completed, and watching a few podcasts I've heard is going to be a special talent, and big clubs will be on the radar for him. And for me, I personally think if he keeps it up, I can see him competing with Max Aarons at the right-back spot at Bournemouth. Look, let's be honest, there's only ever going to be one man for Plymouth Argyle, and that is a fantastic footballer called Morgan Whittaker. Genuinely, I could make a 5-10 minute video on Morgan, but I'll keep it brief. Last season, Morgan was sublime. 16 goal contributions and the League One title on loan to Plymouth last season. The truth is he had a lot of doubters this year. People said if he could do it in League One, fair enough to him, but can he do it in the Championship? And that's where he's gone and proved every single doubter wrong and just did one of the best things he could possibly do. And that is to join Plymouth Argyle permanently from Swansea City. What a season he's had already. 12 goals in 24 games, 89 shots in 24 games. The most, I probably think the most a Championship player has ever had. And the fact is, he can shoot from 40 yards and most likely he's going to hit the target and score the goal. And if he doesn't do that, he can dribble past 3 or 4 players, get into the box and then score inside the box. He's genuinely, his work rate, his dribbling, he just looks like such a top player. And I really think a promoted team this season should go in for him. If not, if someone like Sheffield United survive, Luton survive, Burnley survive, go in for Morgan Whittaker because he is going to get you goals. No matter the league he's playing in, he is going to bag. Going on a bit of a tangent there. On to Blackburn then, and let's be honest, everyone's going to pick Sammy Smodics because he deserves to play in the Prem. He will play in the Prem, probably, if not January, the summer for a team like West Ham. But I want to talk about a more underrated player, and for me, the Championship Declan Rice. At just 19, Adam Wharton looks like a fantastic talent. The way Adam Wharton visions the game and anticipates the game so well, I genuinely think he could play in any position given to him. And I know this sounds rash, but I think in a couple of years, a top 6 side could go in for him. And I think he would suit the role as a CDM at Spurs perfectly. If Tottenham put a bid in for him of around 10 or 15 million, I think next season, I think they'll have a real player on their hands. Borough then, and I've gone for a man who's already sparked interest from Arsenal, Tottenham, Liverpool, Chelsea, Manchester City and Manchester United. He's got a lot of options and that man is England under-21 star Hayden Hackney. Now this lad could honestly ping a pass from anywhere on that pitch. He genuinely is the missing piece to so many Premier League side and he just thrives at such a young age. I think the better players around him, the more people realise how good Hayden Hackney can be. He's young, he's quick, he gets assists and most of all, he knows when and where to hit the target. For me, he's just one of the best players in the Championship at such a young age. You watch his game against Serbia under-21s. I think it was his England under-21s debut and he controlled that game. I think realistically, anyone in the Premier League could get him. I think it comes on a first come, first serve basis. And I hope he goes to a place which can develop him even more into some special talent. Into the Midlands then and slap bang in the middle of the table, Coventry City. And this was a difficult one, but I've gone for former Arsenal player, didn't play in the Prem, played in the Europa League, Ben Sheaf. From what I've heard from Coventry City fans, Ben Sheaf is the player to watch. Every season, Ben just gets better and better, and he's transformed into such a fantastic, all-round, solid midfielder and a real leader in the dressing room at Coventry City. Now, Ben and Coventry City were both 90 minutes away from Premier League football last season, and the truth is, if he did get promoted, I definitely think he wouldn't have looked out of place in a Premier League side. I do think he's very good. He averages 80 touches of the ball every single game, and 50 of those are successful passes, which I think is fantastic for a midfielder in the Championship. For me, if you're looking at a player who wants to play on the ball and have the ball a lot, I think maybe a Burnley or a Sheffield United signing. Norwich City then, and wow, what a team they have. But I think there's only one man you can choose, and that is the amazing, the incredible, the magnificent Gabriel Sara. What a player. I think anyone who's seen Gabriel play live will understand when I say on the ball, he's probably the best in the Championship. He's just so quick, skillful, energetic, but most of all, he's powerful as well. He can muscle off a player, and that would work so perfect in a lot of Premier League midfields. I really hope he does well. I genuinely think he'll be gone to a Premier League team in January, if not certainly the summer. I mean, you look at his stats, the most expected assists, the most long balls. He's so good on the ball. He can pass it, he can defend, he can shoot, he can score. He's just an overall fantastic magician of a player. You know what? For Gabriel, I think he could play in so many Premier League teams. I think Chelsea could go in for him. He's a good youngster for them. I think Newcastle, West Ham to replace Lucas Paqueta if he gets sold. I think it's one of those where you look at him and you think, wow, he could play absolutely anywhere. Love the fella. Took a photo with him once. So sweet. Go on, Gabriel. Moving on to the second team in Wales in the Championship, Cardiff City, where I've gone for the winger Ollie Tanner. It was a mix between him and Perry Ng, but I think with the recent history of Ollie Tanner, I think you have to go with him. Now, this story about Ollie is absolutely incredible. He's playing in non-league for Lewes. He gets an offer from a Premier League club. Tottenham Hotspur put an offer in for him, and he rejects it. 4 months later, he joins Cardiff City, then scores the winner in the derby against Swansea City. In my opinion, he's going to go on to big things. The thing I love about that the most is the fact he's joined Cardiff for game time, he's gone under a manager he trusts, and he's adapting and becoming a professional footballer, and I think in a couple of years, I think he will be in the Prem, and you never know, he might go and join Tottenham after all that's happened. Watford next, and after 2 years after relegation, they still have such a quality team on paper. Genuinely, how they didn't get promoted with Ismail Assar, João Pedro, Kamara last season. It's madness. Anyway, right, we're picking a player. We've gone for Scottish international Ryan Porteous. It's still gutting. A year and a half later, Hull City, we didn't get Ryan Porteous. We were linked to Ryan Porteous for the whole summer transfer window last year, and we never got him. He went to Watford. But I'm glad he's doing well. Let's be honest, he's a fantastic footballer. At age 24, having 9 caps with Scotland, he's good on the ball, very comfortable, and he's not scared to put in a rash challenge, win the ball, and win the 3 points. I can see him 100% captaining and being a long-term Premier League player. I think he's going to join a team like Brentford and stay there for the rest of his career and be known as an absolute legend. I just love the guy. Up the Ryan Porteous. I would just like to add that I'm not sticking him in this list because I like the fella. He's a very good footballer. I don't know how many years until the Prem, but I genuinely think he could fit into a team like Brentford now and be alright. I think he is very good. I'll be honest. Preston North End, I don't know. It was going to be Liam Miller, and I've just watched him and I just think, wow, what a blooming player. He is, Prem quality now, but I've just realised he's on loan. I would go for Alan Brown. There's Liam Lindsay. It's just one of those, who'd you pick? They've got quite a few decent players, but a lot of their team are veterans, and that's the truth. A lot of them have played in the Prem, been there, done that, and I just don't know who to pick. I'm having a nightmare with this one. It's took about half an hour, but we've gone and picked Liam Lindsay, the Scottish centre-back. Now, I look at his stats. He's the best aerial duelster. Is that a word? I don't think that's a word, Marcus. He's the best in aerial duels in the Championship. He's the best in duels. He's one of the best centre-backs in the Championship. And I genuinely think now he's 28, he's at that point where I think he can go the step above and make a move to the Prem. He's been linked to moves in the Prem before. Brighton and Hove Albion put a 6 million bid in for him, and now I think he's ready for it. So you know what? I think he could either go to Brighton or a team in the bottom half of the Premier League. Next up, in 8th place, Bristol City, I have chosen Anis Mehmeti. What a blooming player. Now, a couple of days ago, I read a YouTube comment which said Bristol City fans were asking for Anis Mehmeti to leave the club. They wanted him out. I'm just thinking, blooming it. Because he's absolutely sensational. And that isn't me just trying to gloss over him. I do think he's absolutely brilliant. When we've played him, he's torn us apart. And the thing I love about him the most is he's not scared to take a player on. He's not scared to do a fancy skill, shoot from outside the box. He looks like a fantastic player. And I compare him to Eze and Elise from Crystal Palace. And that's where I think he would work fantastically at. Imagine a front three of Eze, Elise, Mehmeti, or Eze, Elise and Chair. That would be absolutely sublime. I mean, Premier League defenders will be thinking, what the blooming heck has just hit me? These are the players you want in the Premier League. The flair. Remind you of Adel Tarap. You know, it's what you love to see. A bit of skill doesn't hurt anybody. I know some teams like to play basic, simple football, but at Palace, I think Anis Mehmeti would thrive. Now, my team, Hull City. And it's a strange one, really, when you're choosing a player for your own team, because I could pick anybody there. I genuinely think there's so many players that deserve to play in the Premier League. I'm going to name a few. Alfie Jones, Sean McLaughlin, Regan Slater. There's so many quality players in that side. But I think one I have to pick is the homegrown talent, Jacob Greaves. You get a bit upset talking about your own players leaving, but Jacob, honestly, what a guy he is. And it's clear to see he will be playing Premier League football soon. When you're getting linked to Roma and Liverpool in the summer, that just shows he's doing something right. And hopefully we can be with him when he's in the Premier League, but you never know. The truth is, and the sad truth is, you ain't going to see a goal scorer with 40 goals a season in the Championship sticking about for long, whereas you will in the Premier League. We're feeder clubs, that's the truth, but if we go up, we would be feeding off Championship clubs. Now, Jacob, football aspect-wise, is absolutely incredible. He wins all his aerial duels. He can play wherever you want. He's a leader. He's young, experienced, quick, and he's not afraid to put in a rash challenge, just like Ryan Porteous. Imagine having Jacob Greaves and Ryan Porteous. Oh, blooming heck. On to Sunderland then, and I think any team above this point could play in the Prem next season, so they don't even have to move. But I've gone for Jobe Bellingham. I would have chosen Jack Clark, but he has made an appearance in the Premier League with Tottenham Hotspur. Now, Jobe just plays exactly like his brother Jude, and if you've ever seen Jude Bellingham play, you just know why Jobe is going to be a serious special talent. I mean, he's so tall, but so good on the ball, and he can just dribble past everybody. He's got the pace, he can shoot. He's just an all-round fantastic midfielder. And you have to remember, he's only 17 as well. This guy has still got another 6 years and he's still classed as a youngster. I mean, under 23, he's still classed as young. I think he'll be playing for a team like Liverpool, Man City, Real Madrid, AC Milan. I think him and his brother could be the two best brothers in football, potentially in history. You look at Jobe's passing accuracy and it's scarily good. I mean, he's completed 543 successful passes this season already. He started most games for Sunderland at just 17. If he's even half the player his brother is, he is going to be generational, honestly. And that word generational shouldn't be used lightly, but I do think Jobe Bellingham is going to be a serious talent. Next up for West Brom, I have gone for Brandon Thomas Asante. As soon as Brandon signed for West Brom, you just knew there was a special talent there. 9 goal contributions in 18 games this season. And if you take a look at his goals, they're usually absolute belters. I mean, that goal last season he scored, that bicycle kick from about 25 yards out, genuinely, that is disgraceful. And not only is Brandon such a clinical goal scorer, he's also an incredible dribbler, in the top 10 for successful dribbles in the Championship. And he was linked to a move to Leeds earlier on this transfer window in the summer. And it's one of those where you think if he went to Leeds and got promoted, would he start in the Prem? And I think he would. I think if a team this season goes up, they should definitely put a bid in for him. Quality player. On the topic of Leeds United, I've chosen Archie Gray. It was between him and Joel Perreault, but I think Archie Gray is just sublime. And I know it's hard to judge a player at 17, but he does not play like he is 17 years old. He plays like a 32-year-old, experienced legend of a midfielder. The composure he has at 17 is crazy. I mean, he started the first game in the Championship and he's played most games since. He's just such a incredible talent to watch, and it feels good to watch. I know he's a Leeds player, but it's good to see a player at his age get so many minutes and turn into a natural diamond of a midfielder. As well as becoming a 17-year-old wonder kid balling out in the Championship, he also comes from a long line of Leeds legends. Eddie Gray, Andy Gray and Frank Gray, and that's why I think he will stick about with Leeds. And it's painful because I know he's gonna absolutely batter us when we come to Elland Road in April, but I do think he's got that loyalty in him, and I don't think he's gonna leave to a Prem club just to sit on the bench. I think maybe in 5 or 6 years, when he's fully adapted and become a Leeds legend, I think he will go to a team like Liverpool or Manchester City, where he will start to play every single game. But there's no doubt about it, Archie Gray is probably going to be one of England's best midfielders. Now for Southampton, this was extremely difficult because they've just come down from the Premier League and 95% of their players have played a minute, because Southampton are very, very good at keeping their players. So I'm going to go for Ross Stewart. Now Ross Stewart comes with a lot of strength, holding on to the ball, his aerial threat and his finishing. Now Ross Stewart is a tall, very tall man. I've met him and I was going up there. Can I get a photo please, Ross? Nice fella. Now, I think if he got back from injuries, he has got some fantastic wingers around him. I mean, Stuart Armstrong whipping balls in. He's going to be there at back post, nodding them in. And I think he will get back to the form, what he was at Sunderland, and could even break Championship records. I think if he were to join a Premier League team, it would need to be a team with the wingers' ability to play high crosses. I mean, you look at Højlund, for example. If he was playing in a team with Bowen and he was playing some fantastic crosses, I think Højlund would be on 10 or 11 by now, genuinely. So I think if Ross Stewart joined a team with very good crossers, he'd be having a field day with goals. You know what, we'll go West Ham. I don't think he would get straight into the West Ham team, but if you look in a couple of years' time, if he gets his head on a few, I think he'll be right up there. 2 teams remain and 2 players remain. And on to Ipswich Town, where genuinely you could choose absolutely any of them. Under Kieran McKenna, that team is Premier League quality. But I've gone for one of 2 players, Sam Morsy, or the player I've chosen, Connor Chaplin. The Championship has always been known as a proper grafting, hard-tackling league, until Ipswich Town came about and Connor Chaplin started playing some beautiful, attractive style of football which we haven't seen before. And I tell you something, I'm really struggling to place a team on Connor Chaplin, because I originally went for Leif Davis, but he's already played for Leeds in the Prem. I went for Nathan Broadhead, but he's played for Everton. Hiladaki, good keeper, 33 years of age, would he start in the Prem? Connor Chaplin, I think, could play in the Prem, but I do think, in my opinion, it will be with Ipswich. But if I had to choose, I'd probably go for Brentford. Why? I like the team. Don't know. Finishing this video off then with top of the league Leicester City. I've gone for a player I was so surprised hadn't played in the Premier League, and that is Steffi Mavididi. Now, he has just got so many strengths. His finishing, his long shots, his dribbling, his acceleration. He is just such a quality player, is Steffi Mavididi, and there's no doubt about it. He joined Leicester for 1 season in the Championship and ready for the Premier League next season, like a lot of the transfers did. Let's be honest, Leicester will be in the Prem next season. And I think it's one of those where you think, will he stick about with Leicester? Has he got the quality to go and play for a higher team than Leicester? And in my personal opinion, watching his highlights and seeing him play live, I think he's got the ability to play for a team like Chelsea. He used to play for Arsenal's academy, so I can see him go into Chelsea, bite his rival on the backside, score a couple of goals and become a legend. Honestly, I'm just imagining the front 3 of Noni Madueke, Nicholas Jackson and Steffi Mavididi in a couple of years now. Give them time to develop and get into their prime. That is going to be an unstoppable force. I'll say that, he hasn't signed for Chelsea, has he? That's just in my imagination. But I do think that would be absolutely incredible if that transfer was to be pulled off. I mean, yes, he might not have had the numbers in the Championship this season, but if you actually watch his highlights, it isn't all about stats. He has had a very, very good season and a big impact on the Championship. Well, there it is, 24 players, one from every team in the Championship that I think deserve to play in the Premier League. Thank you so much for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe and turn on notifications. It would genuinely mean absolutely everything. Thank you so much. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and up the Tigers.